Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everyone doing? You know, I'll take that. After a great lunch, I understand it's easy to ease in, but thank you for the energy. This is going to be an incredible session. I'm really actually so excited for this one. Excited for all of them, but really pumped for this as well. We have a live hot seat for you. We're going to be talking expert tips for website optimization, and and then at the end of this, we're going to have at least 15 to 20 minutes of live Q&A. So you can put these guys in the hot seat with anything you want to ask. Nothing is off the table. Makes me nervous? Great. It's going to be a really fun time. So, a couple of things. If you have not already downloaded the app, please do so. We are going to be doing polls and referencing the app quite frequently through the presentation. So take some time to do that. Get on the Wi-Fi. If you have questions, please grab somebody from FareHarbor. We will help you. But want to make sure that I give these guys enough time. So will you please welcome the hot seat team?
All right. Do you have a click? Do you have a click?
I don't have a click.
We have a clicker.
We have a clicker.
There it is.
All righty, everybody. So just to introduce myself, my name is Christopher Illis. I'm the manager on the SEO and website optimization team here at FareHarbor. Been here for a little over 2.5 years, worked in the industry for 10. And I can confidently say this is the most fun, awesome role, favorite role I've ever had in my career. Huge part of that is the people I work with.
Yeah.
So Whitney, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Whitney. I am the SEO and web optimization team lead. I work right under Christopher, and I have been with FareHarbor for about 7 years. Actually, this month is my 7th year anniversary. And I've had a ton of different roles within FareHarbor site, but like Christopher said too, the SEO and web optimization teams is truly like one of my favorite teams because of the data that we look in for each and every one of our clients' websites, day in and day out. So I'm really privileged and just honored to be up here speaking to you, and we're just so excited to be here.
Yeah, so stoked.
And then Bridget.
Hi guys, my name is Bridget. I am a member of Christopher and Whitney's team. I am a website optimization specialist here at FareHarbor. Maybe I've talked to some of you. I used to work on website support, so I was doing lots of website tickets, and now I work on the website optimization team. I absolutely love my job here at FareHarbor. I'm sure you're already tired of hearing that. We've said it 3 times on stage already, but we really do love it here. And, you know, I think today I'm just so excited to share some of the things that we deal with on a day-to-day. I mean, these are methods that we have found tried and true time after time on our clients' websites, so you're really going to get into our heads, and we're going to get to move through that together. So I'm just so excited to be here. Christopher, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, let's do it. So looking at our agenda today, we've got 2 parts. The first is going to be focused on how we at FareHarbor Sites elevate really all of our clients' site design from a conversion and performance standpoint. Latter half, like Corinne alluded to, we're going to be taking some questions. So passing some mics around the room. Do put us on the spot. Ask us anything like she said. I mean, keep it website related, please. But we'll do our best to answer those questions on the spot for you. But Whitney, do you mind kind of walking us through the first section of our talk today?
Yeah, so this first section, our presentation, is a case study, and there's a lot of information that we are going to throw at you guys, but it's a lot of great, valuable information that we hope you can take away. But I just want to keep 3 things in mind as we move through every single slide. And the first one is that we're going to talk about the concepts and impacts behind a high-performing website and like what that actually truly means, because it's a really broad term that can be used in a lot of different ways. We're also going to talk about the actual specific elements found on websites that help convert users and can hopefully gain you more online bookings through your website. And then last but not least, the best part, the recommendations, what each and every one of you can actually take away from this presentation, audit on your own website, whether you're with a FareHarbor site, you're using someone else. These are all true recommendations that you can put into practice after this. So with that said, let's go.
Let's do this. So I just really want to set the stage today with a quote. I strive for 2 things in design: simplicity and clarity. Great design is born of those 2 things. So obviously this is a very fast-moving world. Websites, SEO, PPC, all this stuff. There's new features coming out every day, AI evolving at a rapid rate. But today we do want to bring it back to basics and keep it simple. because for our users on our sites, that's what counts. To do so, we're going to cover a case study. So introducing our case study participant, Jubilations Dinner Theater. First and foremost, huge thank you to Jubilations for letting us dig into your site. Yeah, big thank you there.
Yeah, big round of applause. Thank you, guys.
If you're here, hello.
Yeah.
Hi. We loved working with you through this process. Got an awesome site, an awesome business. So let me talk about it a little bit. Basically, Jubilations is located up in Alberta, Canada, and they've got 2 locations, one in Calgary, the other in Edmonton. They've been a staple of the dinner theater scene in those areas for the past 25 years. And they put on awesome, hilarious shows that come equipped with a delicious dinner as well. One of those, I believe it's live right now, is a crossover between Friends, the hit show, as well as Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. And that just makes my 90s heart sing. I would love to get up there and have a look while it's still running. But yeah, so that's a little bit about Jubilations, but a little bit of background on them and FareHarbor. They joined both the dashboard as well as our website back in 2021. And a few challenges that they were going through at that time. One, they wanted to rank better and needed to rank better for non-brand, that is, terms that didn't include Jubilations, in their 2 locations, Calgary and Edmonton. They also wanted a bit of a refresh on their site. It felt a little outdated, and while the branding is absolutely beautiful, it needed a refresh, specifically with the way that users navigated through the site to make a purchase. So let's take a look at some of those challenges in more detail, Whitney, by looking at their old previous website.
Yeah, let's take a quick walk down memory lane before we start looking at Jubilations' new website and we talk about all the fabulous optimizations that are on there and the SEO impact. It really wouldn't make sense for us to do that before we look at Jubilations' website in 2019. This was before they moved over to FareHarbor websites, and when we sat down with them, we always start discussing any pain points, any user issues, any friction in the overall conversion flow. So this is just a quick walkthrough of their homepage. Now off the bat, like Christopher called out, we love their design. They had really stellar background images, graphics, media elements that we wanted to make sure we incorporated into the new website. But a few big things here was that they actually had a really long scroll time on their homepage. There was a lot of valuable information, but we knew that the homepage was starting to feel like a little congested. It could start being a little overwhelming for the user as well, especially since that's the first page a user is landing on. So we knew we needed to migrate some of that content to other priority pages. They also had a pretty detailed ticket pricing graph on their homepage, and while that works for many businesses, for Jubilations, we knew that was like a little bit too much information at the get-go. We needed to move that to their main show pages. Apart from that, they had some really good CTAs, but we knew we could improve them, kind of place them in higher visible areas on the homepage and just make them a little bit more clear for the user. So those are some main things that we wanted to work through with Jubilations and really kind of show you what Jubilations was working with on their old website. But with that said, let's get into the good stuff. Bridget, do you want to talk about Jubilations' website now?
Absolutely. So thank you. First of all, thank you for walking through Jubilations' old website and just some of the challenges that they had on their homepage. We're going to go through some of the key optimizations that we made on the website as a whole, starting with condensing the homepage. Now, before we jump into the homepage, it is much shorter than it was. I just want to say, we think of a homepage like the storefront of your business, right? And so when we are condensing the homepage, it's not just about removing content, but it's about strategically placing content so that it is engaging to users. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look. Hit it, Christopher. All right, so looking at the new homepage, you can see we kept the branding intact. It is just so beautiful and really keeps the spirit of the theater. Right up towards the top, we have those 2 really clear location CTAs funneling the user to choose a location before they choose a show. Very clear and easy to understand. And then we cannot miss these absolutely beautiful photos. I mean, wow, I feel like everybody's having so much fun in them, and it just makes me want to go to the dinner theater, just like how Christopher said earlier. We also had some About Us copy, short, sweet, to the point. We'll drill into that a little bit more later. And then we have these reviews. Now, the reviews on your homepage is a do not miss. This is your moment to show off some of these 5-star reviews that you love so much. And if the user hasn't found what they're looking for by now, we have some CTAs towards the bottom to help them navigate through the rest of the site. So speaking of the About Us copy, we were talking about that a little bit. Whitney's gonna drill into that and kind of go into detail.
Yeah, so, and I do want to preface too, like we are using Jubilations, but once again, these are optimizations that every single one of you, regardless of the specific tour activity you're offering, can place on your own website, and this is one of them. I preach about the About Us copy so much. It's a pretty old story on my end, but the reason this on your homepage is so important and so effective is it's not just for the users, it actually has some really great SEO benefits as well. But let's talk about the user first. When the user lands on your homepage, they are starting to understand your business. They're looking, yes, at your tours and activities, maybe the locations, where they need to take that next step in their user journey. But as they're scrolling the homepage, they're really trying to get a better feel for who you are. What are your missions? What's your value adds? What can you write and talk to your user about that's really going to convince them that you are the best tour or activity provider for them versus them bouncing and going to your competitor? So this really is like the nice, cleanest place to offer that unique descriptive copy that helps describe who you are to your user and starts instilling them more confidence in where they want to go after the homepage. On the SEO side, the benefit is that search engine bots crawl this content the exact same way a user does. So search engine bots are also looking at this content to start understanding more about your website, what you're offering, what are your relevant keywords, and what copy in this About Us section they can use to start ranking you for a higher domain authority. So if anything for the SEO implications of this About Us content is really, really helpful, and you should make sure you're not skimping on it, essentially, on the homepage. But with photos, really quick, honorable mention, but also really important, as Bridget said, Jubilations is using some fantastic photos. I hope each and every one of you here are doing the same. Pictures speak so much louder than words. We all know this, and users are clicking through your photo galleries. They want to see guests enjoying photos. And if you're not doing that on your website, you really actually could be missing out on bookings because users care so much about the visuals. So make sure you're just uploading high quality images. And not to confuse anyone, but on the flip side of that, make sure you're not uploading too high quality of images that are really heavy, because that can bog down your site speed and performance. So it really is that fine balance between strong images that are really clear, but not overwhelming your website. And that's a whole nother topic. So if you have questions, just come see us down at the Sites booth about image and asset management. But on to the next one. Christopher, do you want to talk about some pricing?
I would love to. Whitney talked a little bit about how images can be too heavy. If we recall a few slides ago when we looked at the old website, we saw they had a super heavy pricing grid. It almost read a little bit like an Excel spreadsheet, very information dense, albeit detailed, but just too much information for the homepage. So following our best practices, we don't want to break pricing down to that level of detail too early in the funnel like that old website. If we put ourselves in the shoes, I should say, of a user to kind of understand that, it's because there's many other things for a user to learn about the business, many things to get excited about. They've got to choose their location, they've got to browse all of the shows that Jubilations is showing, and then when they do land on an activity page, as we show here, it does become more appropriate to bring in that detailed pricing. Now, that is not to say we should never put pricing on a homepage. We should, but they should be enticing snippets of pricing, not a detailed breakdown. Again, there's a great space to do that. It's on an activity page like this. Another reason why we want to hold off is we wouldn't want to filter out any price-sensitive visitors before they've even had a chance to understand the brand or had a chance to get excited about what it offers. We might get a bounce just because somebody was so deterred by all this pricing information right off the bat. So we instead want to focus that homepage on building the information that a user needs to know, building that excitement, and then when they do land on a tour page, introduce that pricing. On a topic of another optimization we made some great upgrades to their menu. I'm not talking about their dinner menu. It's phenomenal, and I wouldn't want us anywhere near it. But we definitely made some upgrades to their website menu. Bridget, walk us through that, please.
I would love to. So even though we didn't make changes to their dinner menu, when we look at a website menu, it's not all that different, right? When you sit down at a restaurant and you're looking for something to eat, everything is sort of laid out categorically: appetizers, dinner, dessert. So when we look at the website menu, we also see these categories, and they're very intentional. If you take a look, we have a before and after photo of their menu on their website. And the key change you're going to see is there are the location drop-downs at the very top of the menu on the optimized site. So this is very intentional. As I said, it really outlines the user's journey throughout the site. So this is going to be consistent throughout the entire website. We want the user to start by choosing a location. Additionally, you'll see that we moved some of the other links under other folders, or just simply moved them to different places on the menu. So this is just best practice. We like to sort of put the high converting pages towards the top of the menu, and then usually sorted by popularity, and then move those informational pages towards the back or bottom of the menu. So the last thing that you'll see, and certainly maybe one of the most important things that you'll see, is that big Buy Tickets button. It is there and available for users all of the time. It's big, it's beautiful, and it's optimized. So speaking of optimized CTAs, Christopher, what other type of CTAs did we optimize on the site?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you recall to some of the challenges that we encountered on the old website, a major one was this call to action flow, CTA for short. We've got a before and after here. And if you have a look at the before, you may notice one important thing. It really links somebody directly to one specific show from the homepage, the most recent show that they have available, either in Calgary or Edmonton. So again, putting ourselves back in the user's shoes, let's consider some of the issues with this. First and foremost, they may miss many of the offerings that the business has by going so directly to one show. And so in turn with our best practices, we added to this conversion flow specifically with a location selector. Now every single every single call to action button on the homepage leads to this. Why? Because it is the first and most important step a user can take. They need to be able to select the location that they're either visiting or live in. From there, we then start to break down all of the shows that are available at each theater. Once we've broken those down, a user can get excited about a particular show, visit that page, and then select it. Another angle that we came in on with moving these CTAs was we really moved it up the fold. That is that it is now visible when the page loads both on desktop and mobile, so that it's very clear to the user the first step that they should take. Previously, to get these unoptimized CTAs, they had to scroll a bit down the page. So we really put that front and center for them to choose as it is such an important step in the journey for Jubilations. Speaking of other important things to include on the homepage, Whitney, do you want to talk to us a bit about social proof?
I sure do. So this is the last more user experience / design optimization that we're going to talk about in today's presentation, but it's certainly not the least important. Social proof is vitally important for your business. I think everyone here knows how important reviews are. We're utilizing Google reviews, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Facebook reviews to start enticing confidence. So we know our data actually shows that 90% of users are looking at reviews before they ever make a purchase. And so yes, having reviews on your review platforms is important, but if you don't have your 5-star reviews on your homepage or on other priority pages on your website, you actually could be missing out on bookings because users are going to want to find those reviews first. And if they have to leave your website to do that, there's a bigger chance that they may not even come back. So make sure that you are posting your reviews in priority areas on your website. Make sure that you're continually updating those reviews, making them relevant, and really showcasing how fantastic your business truly is. And it really helps instill, of course, a lot of that user confidence. And on the SEO side, because I'm always going to talk about the UX and SEO implications of everything we're doing, or the benefits really, for like Jubilations here, this is a manually created testimonial element. And what that means is that search engine bots can actually crawl this content as well. So the same as a user, and this content goes towards ranking and domain authority. So there's a lot of third-party scripts out there or review aggregators that you can add as a widget. We fully support those, but I just would recommend checking your documentation if you're using one of those and making sure that script that you're placing on your website is open and crawlable for those search engine bots, because if not, you may actually be losing out on the SEO benefits of reviews as well. We also have some great widgets, but just come talk to us down at the Fair Harbor Sites booth if you do want recommendations on that front. But with that said, a little bit out of the design field, let's talk more about SEO.
Yeah, so I love how you mentioned that all of the optimizations we've talked about so far today, while they did have more of a design lens, they also have a lot of SEO benefits. I want to touch on one SEO optimization that we made that also positively impacts design. And this is how we optimize their title tags. So what are title tags? It's that big blue text that you'll see in the search results that describes a website. We really see 3 core and imperative components to these title tags. They need to quickly convey the who, the what, and the where behind a business. So, got another before and after here. Let's have a look at the before. As you can see, it was simply Jubilations Dinner Theater. That's all the title tag was. Obviously, that does convey the who, the brand name, and a little bit of the what, right? It does imply through the brand name that it's a dinner theater. Most importantly, however, it's lacking the where. So, looking over on the right to our after, we retained that business name, the who. We added a bit of color and clarity around the what by adding dinner shows at the end of the title tag. And then most critically, we added the where, Calgary and Edmonton dinner shows. Additionally, we did add some of those elements into the meta description, which you can see below, both the location terms, and then additionally, we added a call to action, a strong one at the end there, book online. Again, this is maybe the first touch point a user ever has with your business, and right from the get-go, we want to nudge them towards what they're supposed to do on the website. In this case, it is certainly to book online. Now, seeing that in action in our screenshot from Google below, you will see our beautiful title tag in all its glory there, optimized with the who, the what, and the where. And below it, if you're paying close attention, you may actually see that the meta description doesn't match what we wrote. We hear about this a lot. We see this a lot. Google does seem to dynamically swap these out, change them, to whatever the algorithm kind of wants to. And while I won't completely throw them under the bus, I do know we have some reps from Google. If you want to go talk to them, they're downstairs near our booth. I do know they're from the travel department, so I'm pretty certain they're not going to be able to help you with this. But look, it does happen. It's still very important to list the proper information there. And if Google makes a different choice, so be it. All right, so enough talking about what we did. Let's dig into some of the results. First and foremost, we're going to look at SEO impact. We've got 2 charts here. Both map out basically the keywords that Jubilations was ranking for back in 2019 and then in August 2023. As you'll see, they saw an overall 150% increase in keywords from the way that we redesigned their site, improved their copy, optimized their menus, and even improved their conversion flow. Again, being simple and clear, a lot of these impacts will be seen through SEO as well. But I want to direct you to the top component of these charts. That's the top 3 results. We know that 70% of clicks on Google come through these top 3 results, and Jubilation saw an 88% increase in the keywords that they rank for in those top 3. Went from 107 to 201. A lot of those keywords were those non-brand keywords that they were looking to target both in Calgary and Edmonton. A general search like dinner theater near me or theaters in Calgary, they started capturing that impact. So that's just numbers on a screen. Bridget, do you mind kind of elaborating a bit on the impact that keyword growth can have on a website?
Absolutely. So we have 2 graphs here, and no, they are not cryptocurrency graphs. They represent keywords and organic traffic over time for Jubilations. You'll also notice there is an orange line on each of the graphs, which indicates when the site went live with a FareHarbor website. So there is a ton that we can unpack in these graphs, right? Ton of data, ton of KPIs or key performance indicators, but there is one thing that I really want to hone in on here. It's on the slide, and I'll say it out loud. Jubilation saw an increase in organic traffic of 139% over the course of 3 years, which is awesome. This is not a perfect, 46% year-over-year growth, right? We see peaks and valleys. Some of the peaks are steeper than others. Like for instance, if you look at their first year, the organic traffic graph, you'll see, and the other keywords as well, you'll see that there's this really steep peak, right? Like that's where a lot of their growth came from, and then it just tapers off into this beautiful year-over-year growth until today. So what is the point of all this? It is a awesome example about just showing how growth is not perfectly linear, right? And there's going to be peaks and valleys. There's going to be ups and downs, challenges. For instance, we have market changes. We have, seasonality. We have Google constantly changing their algorithms. Christopher, how often does Google change their algorithms?
A couple times a day.
Yeah, a couple times a day, right? All the time. So what we want to see and what we do see in terms of growth is this just overall upward trend. So yeah, and that kind of just ties together all that we have for the SEO portion of this. Whitney is going to dive into some Google Analytics data, which I'm very excited to hear about.
Yes, I will. So we know that was a lot of data. And once again, I'll reiterate, this is for Jubilations, but this is something we see very constant for many of our websites that we come across and audit. And the SEO impact is absolutely stellar for Jubilations, and we're so happy for them. But I would be remiss if we didn't talk about a few user engagement data points as well, because as we know, SEO is how you get your users to your website, but after that, it's your true website design and your overall user experience that keeps your users on the website and actually creates and makes those bookings. So this first data highlight is this 65.92%, and this is for engaged sessions, meaning out of all the sessions, out of the 100% of sessions happening on Jubilation's website, almost 66 of them are engaged, meaning that users are clicking through different elements on the pages, going to different pages, really interacting with their website and finding valuable content. This is a huge indicator that it's qualified users that are going to Jubilations, but it's also because of the overall design that's helping users stay and really engage with the website. So really, really huge one for Jubilations here. And then on the other side, this next data point may look really small, but it's actually phenomenal. Jubilations is boasting a 5.17 e-commerce conversion rate. It's way smaller than 66%, but guys, this is 2 times the industry standard. Normally for our tour operators in the tourism industry, we're seeing about 2.5% to 3% e-commerce conversion rate. So the fact that they're at this 5% shows the growth, shows that users are wanting to make purchases on their website, and it really makes my heart happy. But the reason this is important is that for anyone here trying to think about their e-commerce conversion rate, Let's do like some quick napkin math with Jubilation. So say there's 1,000 users going to the site. For this 5%, it's about 50 users making a booking. And then we saw in the graph earlier that Bridget talked about, they are getting about 32,000 visitors per month. So if you keep doing the math, that's actually a ton of bookings. And it's because of the optimizations that we help put in place for them. So really huge reasons to celebrate and show that not only are our automations making an impact, but they really can showcase it through this. But with that said,
Let's talk about money.
let's talk about some money.
Yeah, if those digital marketing kind of web-related KPIs put you to sleep, I hope this wakes you up. Yeah, the impact to the bottom line. So starting with keywords, driving traffic to the website, qualified traffic to the website. We then saw our conversion rate, or our engagement rate, and then our conversion rate. What does this all result in? Well, in the case of Jubilations, more direct bookings. To the tune of 28% year-over-year growth from 22 to 23. So just absolutely phenomenal there. And again, that is our purpose as a department at FareHarbor to drive this up. Another key metric that we're going to always be looking at in terms of direct bookings is what is the share of direct bookings as it relates to OTAs, walk-ups, etc. In that same time frame, we saw a 2% increase in that online direct booking share. So far, data this year seems like it's growing even further than that. So yeah, that's the bottom line impact. I want to kind of bring things back with another quote. We started today talking about simplicity and clarity, and I hope we've showed how we've applied those principles across all the optimizations that we've made. And then we ended talking about performance. Obviously, it's easy to get wrapped up in performance and really fixated on it. As this quote goes, it's important to look beyond the rankings and rather ensure a website is usable for everyone. I would distill this down to say that good design supports SEO and good SEO enhances design. They're truly mutually beneficial, and both are absolutely integral to creating a successful website. There's this crucial intersection here, and they really work together. I think it's important to also call out that search engines are constantly evolving, right? The advent of generative AI this year in search, absolutely massive. But really, what is the purpose of a search engine? It's to simulate our experience. So search engines are more and more looking at user experience as a really positive factor contributing to how they would rank a site. I've been in this business again for 10 years. I've gotten fixated on rankings myself. I know a lot of my clients have. It's sometimes like watching a roller coaster. They can go up and down. But here's the thing. Leave that fixation and obsession to us. We can handle it. It's what we do. And instead, just partner with us on what we can control, which is representing your business in a beautiful way online, in a way that is accessible and usable for both search engines and humans alike. All right, so let's wrap things up with some key takeaways.
Yeah.
Whitney kicks off.
So thank you guys again. This is the end of the presentation portion, and definitely hang tight. We do have the hot seat right after this. But I know we talked a lot about different optimizations, the reason for it, the SEO implications, the data highlights, and it's kind of a lot to take in sometimes and remember everything. But there's four key takeaways that I do want to leave everyone with today after this presentation. It's these four. And the first one being, your website is truly your hardest working salesperson. We often see with so many different channel mixes out there that the personal website for your business can actually become a little neglected. So make sure that you're putting the same tender loving care you are into your website that you are in other avenues of your business, because this is the place that your users are going to really start getting excited about your business, booking your tours and activities. So give it some love. And with that said, it kind of goes in the number two, and I know we've talked about this a lot. SEO is a very, very integral part of your business. If you do not have a strong SEO strategy, you're probably losing out on bookings online. End of story. But don't forget about your conversion rate optimization and your user experience. Christopher just talked about it. It's so important. Often that we see is clients really fixated on their SEO strategy. And yes, while that's extremely important, we want to make sure that the overall user experience of your website is converting users. If you're getting all that qualified traffic from SEO, but they're coming to the website and actually having an unpleasant experience, there's a ton of roadblocks, they can't find what they're looking for, it's defeating the whole purpose of your SEO strategy. So just make sure you have a strong strategy for both ends of the spectrum. And when you combine it, it really creates an insanely strong overall digital marketing strategy for your website. Christopher, do you want to talk about a little bit more about design SEO?
No, I'll just drive that home.
Yeah.
I think as we've showed today, design and SEO truly have a symbiotic and mutually beneficial relationship. They're both absolutely integral parts to creating a successful website. Like Bridget mentioned, it's a long-term play, right? This doesn't happen overnight, but with the right foundations and ongoing focus in both of these avenues, we can drive more direct bookings just like Jubilations did. Oops.
And I have the honor of bringing home the last point, which is, first of all, thank you, Jubilations, for letting us
Seriously, thank you guys.
drill down through your site and look under the hood. I mean, holy moly, just thank you. Presentation wouldn't have been the same without you guys, right? So thank you. Also, I just want to say, I'll make it short and sweet. I've been to Spark for about 3 years in a row now, and every single year I always say the same thing afterwards, and it's that my favorite part about this is the human connection that we get with our clients. Being a tech company, we don't often get this one-on-one time, this hands-on time with you. So please, 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 if you have any questions at all about either your website, your online business, affiliates, literally anything, just come visit us and we will point you in the right direction. So yeah, we're over at the Fair Harbor Sites booth.
Right downstairs. Yeah.
I've been hanging out in the support hallway if you want to come visit me. But yeah, come visit us. We love it so much, and I've already gotten to talk to a few of you, which has just made my day. So yeah, we're excited. Stay tuned because we have the SEO hot seat coming up next.
Don't go anywhere. Just give us a few seconds, and then we can start taking some questions. And we have Corinne back there.
I'm actually right here. We actually have 3 microphones. So this session is being recorded. So if you do have a question, we're going to have you raise your hand. I have 2 other colleagues on both sides. We will run the mic to you, but we want to make sure to get it in the mic so that as it is being recorded, when it gets sent out to everyone, they can hear each one of your questions. So without any further ado, we're actually going to jump in. We have about, I think, 15 to 20 minutes. So please, if you can stay for a minute, get your questions asked. And then right after this, we will get you some more coffee. So just give us 15. And who would like to start us off? Any questions?
Ooh, we got questions.
I knew you would.
Ooh, thank you.
Hi. I'm wondering about the above the fold. I'm wondering if we could dive in a little bit deeper on that. Obviously, having a CTA on there, having a really nice picture, all that stuff, super best practice. But as far as diving a little bit deeper into that, have you found any correlation between what's more important with the readability of your headline and subheader on there versus the quality of the photo, and then also looking at the arbitrage between the quality of the photo itself and how people are looking at that versus the load speed of the page with having a much larger photo?
Yeah.
And any other great
Spicy
insights you got?
No,
That's good.
This is great. I can at least work my way through this. I think you had a multiple part question, so reiterate if I missed something there. But let's start from the last part of your question. So I know I touched on it literally in this presentation about media assets. We actually have a whole help doc about this because it's really important. So we actually get a ton of tickets on site speed and performance because we know Lighthouse scores can be really intimidating. They can be overwhelming to look at. Google is very, very picky, and we say that in a loving way to Google. But when it comes to controlling some of that score, we really do look at media. So we look at your video embeds, we look at media files, how heavy the graphics are, how many photos you have on a page. And what my advice is to you with this particular piece is that if you're looking at your homepage or other pages that have a lot of content, so a lot of information, the scroll time is really long, make sure that you're not then putting a ton of images on those pages too, because that will continue to bog down that overall page speed. So like tour activity pages, that's a great place to showcase your photos. The homepage is as well because of the reasons we just talked about. But it really is that balance between, like, if you have 20 photos in a photo gallery, your users probably actually aren't clicking through all of those. They're clicking through the first like 5 to 6 to 7 of those. We actually see that a lot on like the homepage banners where like our clients want to put like 15 photos on that. But users are scrollers. They want to get the information, they want to click a few times, and then they want to start scrolling to find the next step in their journey. So I could literally talk about this for like 30 minutes, so I'm gonna try and cap it. But for media files, just make sure, I can't even think of like the specific weight off the top of my head, but file like pixel size, if you're uploading around 1400 by 1400 or smaller, that's perfect. Just don't go, I guess a minimum would also be about 900 pixels. So anywhere in that 1000 to 1400 pixel range, that's a sweet spot. It's a good file size. It's enough quality without bogging your site down. So I know I just answered that one part. Do you want to reiterate the two other?
Yeah, so the other part, but honestly, my biggest thing is, if you guys have any other really great insights into that above the fold section, aside from the really frequently covered like CTA and big image and all that stuff.
One thing I will call out in terms of using a CTA, because I think every business is different, and if you have a super kick-ass visual video, you really want to showcase that, you found success with that, we're not going to tell you, no, like don't use that in favor of a CTA. What we have seen across our 3,000 websites is that users really only scroll, on average, 30 to 40% of the page. So if you're favoring a media asset, like a beautiful photo or video, that's not to say you shouldn't have a overlaid CTA or one very close, but make sure at minimum it's before that 30% mark on the page. Is really my recommendation.
Yeah.
I think to piggyback off of both of your answers, one, I always tell clients, try to avoid having moving elements on your homepage if you can, just because it does help with load speed. And we do find that users don't interact with those as much as you'd really think that they do. So yeah, videos or like, like those slideshows that just go through tons of photos and nobody ever gets to the end of them, things like that. I would say other than that, whenever I'm optimizing websites, because I work in heat mapping kind of day in and day out, something I try to do is make sure that the activities are at least somewhat visible above the fold. So like for instance, like if you have some activity headings, or on Fair Harbor websites, we have like activity cards. So I like to at least have those, and sometimes like a little orange, like most popular or something like that, that is engaging to the user and telling them to scroll a little bit more so that they can see it, right? It's enticing. And so that is, I think, my intention that I set when I'm optimizing websites, is just making sure that both the above the fold is enticing and like right at the fold is enticing for users to continue scrolling and learning about your activities.
Yeah, and I will just, one final note on that too, is because of the scroll data we have, the heat map data that we have, the first call to action that you place on your homepage is going to be the one that's clicked the most.
Yes.
So make sure that call to action is actually taking the user like where you want them to go. A lot of times we see it's like to a just purely informational page or an FAQ page, which like those pages are important.
Yeah.
But if you actually want to take a user to a conversion page, which is like your tour activity, make sure it's that first primary call to action that they can see, because that really is like the money button, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. We have a question up here, and then I will move in another direction. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Come on down.
Okay, yeah.
If we can't get to everything, like we were saying, you know where to find us. I think we've said it like 15 times at this point.
Yeah.
The site's booth down below.
Or come find us at lunch tomorrow.
I just wanted to piggyback off that really quickly. So thinking about our digital assets, would it be a best practice to have maybe more of the photos in the light frame? And does that bog it down or slow it down if we, pack them in the light frame and not necessarily on the actual homepage?
I'll jump in. I think we all have something to say about this.
Okay.
So No, I would not recommend that. Yes, definitely in terms of having photos in your Lightframe item descriptions, 100% make sure those photos are there, because that's at the last stage of the user's checkout process. Showcasing those visuals is really important to keep them excited and be like, yes, I'm making the right decision, right? But the website is the first place users are going to before they hit the Lightframe. If you're not providing those visuals up front, they're not going to make it to the Lightframe to then look at those visuals. So you have to make sure that all your media, your images, are placed in visible high priority areas on your website first, or else you're really narrowing your conversion funnel for those users that actually click book now to get into your booking flow.
I'll quickly add to that. Whether it's your website, your Lightframe, your Google Business Profile, TripAdvisor, whatever it might be, having some level of continuity in the photos, really important, both in terms of quality, in terms of location. It can be really jarring to go from a website where the photos are gorgeous and then hopping into a Lightframe and they're very pixelated, or maybe even a different topic or off topic from your tour. So less about quantity, but definitely choosing those highest quality photos to kind of finish the sale in the Lightframe is what I'd recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then I would say when I'm optimizing like tour pages, the photos are some of the most clicked elements across the board almost always. So I would say tour pages are an awesome place to showcase your photos.
Amazing.
We got one right here.
Where do we? Ooh, fantastic.
Hi, hey, just had a question around like what you guys have seen when it comes to optimizing for mobile, like with a lot of purchases happening on mobile. Like I think we heard at the travel conference a few weeks ago, like 80%, 70% of purchases are on mobile. So curious what you guys choose to include, what you choose not to include when it comes to like a small device and screen. You talked about like the reviews and the social proof, but yeah, maybe just some insights on that.
Let's see. In terms of mobile versus desktop, I think, I can't speak for other platforms, but we build mobile first. So the way that we're thinking about design is always going to be mobile first. So any element that you see on a desktop version is also available on mobile. It may look a little bit differently, or may look a little bit different. But we do sometimes make some strategic choices when it comes to performance. For example, we talked a little bit about Lighthouse scores, Core Web Vitals scores. These are some of the ways that Google measures a site's performance. And if we see that, for example, mobile is dipping in performance or isn't as strong, maybe it's failing Core Web Vitals, we may consider, removing an asset like a video or a bunch of very heavy images to prop that mobile score back up. So in a simple sense, that's how we design, right? Mobile first. It's how we think from the get-go. It does come down to kind of a site-by-site basis when we make choices on what to include or exclude from a mobile view.
Yeah. I think Christopher summed it up really well. If you are looking at the mobile version of your website, the biggest piece of advice I'd give is start thinking about like what you can remove. So if your main website isn't optimized for mobile and it doesn't naturally like reflex to different screens, and you need to make those decisions, think about the really heavy media assets. If you have a ton of like paragraph chunky content, you may want to shorten that for mobile. You want to make sure when a user's just scrolling on their phone that they don't have to scroll past tons and tons of content to get to those like main CTAs or like the really important information. So if you're kind of auditing your mobile device version of your website, that's what I'd look for, is like what you could reduce if you need to, if you like through the eyes of a user.
Yeah.
And test it.
And test it.
Yeah, if you have a thesis and it, or hypothesis, and you make a big change, remove something from mobile, just make sure you're looking at those results. If it's positive, great. If it's not, maybe revert that change.
Fantastic. Where are we going next? Up front? Ooh,
we
am I
see
running?
two.
Yeah, we got two.
All right, we got one up front. I think we have one over here. So I'll start here.
First of all, thank you guys. We love Fair Harbor. You're doing great.
Thank you.
So as you add on, like they were talking about the waivers this morning, there's things Fair Harbor's taking on. They said that in regards, depending on your waiver needs, you might want to stay Werewolf and other things. We work with a third-party SEO and site hosting, but we would love to stay within you guys as much as possible. Where would you say Sites is directed at? Is it competitive to these really kind of SEO dedicated companies that's all they do? Or is this more for somebody who's not doing it and you need the website to have a revamp? Do you need SEO added on? Should we make a switch to it, or where are we at?
Totally. Well, I would say for a full breakdown answer to this question, definitely come see us at the booth. We've got a lot of documentation that I think can answer this question in full, but the quick answer is yes. I think we absolutely compete to the degree that dedicated agencies can. We've recently made a lot of changes, and we now have 2 plans. Again, come check them out at the booth, that are really fit for your needs. So we have got one that is a little bit lighter. It includes reporting. It includes having a dedicated person who's going to work on your site and about 2 audits per year. And then we've got another that ramps that all the way up to 12 audits per year, and we get into a lot more conversion rate optimization, testing, and stuff like that. To answer your question, I think that with the new developments and the direction we're taking this department, we can certainly support at an agency level.
Yeah, and just to reiterate that, that's the reason we have technically 3 plans. We have the Web Core, right, which is our Fair Harbor website. That gets you on your website, gets you the live site support. That next package that Christopher talked about is the Silver, which is like pretty small, but it's like you get a few SEO optimizations throughout your year. And that Gold package is like what I think of like our industry standard, how we compete with agencies. It's really robust. You get a ton of different SEO audits throughout the year. You've got strategy planning. You have dedicated PCs and specialists that's working with your business. So that Gold package is really the big one that we're trying to support. And we have a whole team of SEO experts that, gosh, make up what we probably have like 20 years in the industry total if you think about all of our years combined. Yeah, probably more.
I'd say more.
Yeah, likewise, I think, like Whitney mentioned, working with the same person over time, that Gold package, we also provide a lot of strategy. So we're going to give you an annual strategy, execute on it, and report on it. So,
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I think we had one here, and then we had some over here. Here we are. All right.
I just wanted to know if you guys would recommend having a video in the hero section.
So it depends on what your video is, truly. If you have kind of one of those like drone type footage that's maybe like 15, 20 seconds that kind of encapsulates like where you are, your location, like your tour activity in like a really just nice visual manner, yes. We see that all the time because it's a really great way to stand out when your page first loads. But if you have a long video that's multiple minutes, you want users to actually sit and like watch that video, do not put it there.
Okay.
That's like, you're like, no, that's, yeah.
So you're saying like 15 to 20 seconds is cool?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
That's
then
the sweet
users
spot.
have, that's pretty much their attention span before they scroll.
Yeah, mine too. Okay.
Totally.
Cool.
And just
I think
kind of
those- go ahead.
sorry, just to piggyback off of that, I would say I would not recommend it on mobile. I would recommend it on desktop only if you are going to do that, just because we, expect people on mobile to be using data, and sometimes they may or may not have very good service. So we want to make sure that your website is loading, even if they're not on Wi-Fi. Where desktop, we assume they have Wi-Fi. So
Yeah.
Amazing. And I think we're going over here. Yep.
Hello. I have 3 bike rental shops, and my question is, have you guys tested having chat widgets as a support? Has Fair Harbor tested like integrating a chat widget? You guys mentioned how the website is your strongest salesperson. So my question is, having extra support, have you guys tested that, and could that boost the conversion rate?
Yeah, so I want to make sure I am answering this correctly. So right now, currently Fair Harbor doesn't have its own chat widget. But we do have many of our clients that use their own third-party chat widget on their Fair Harbor site. We see it all the time. There's pros and cons, right? Because the interactivity for the user, a chat widget could be really beneficial. We see them popping up a lot more. On literally the other side of the user experience, it can be a big annoyance as well. So especially on mobile, you have to make sure where you're putting that chat widget pop-up, it's actually not interfering with their user journey, because if that's in front of a call to action, or they can't scroll because now this chat widget's popping up, that's actually really big pain points that we often see when we're looking at our heat mapping data with chat widgets installed. So my advice would be try to avoid actually using chat widgets on mobile. And on desktop, just make sure, like, if you can adjust the timing settings, like when they pop up, what pages they pop up on. That's kind of like the best win to using them and starting to get that user engagement without causing user frustration because of the widget.
Yeah.
And if you want to chat through a couple options that we might recommend, definitely visit us at the booth. We can share those.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. And I think we have time for about 1 or 2 more questions before this session finalized. So we have one here, and I will have, Noobs, run that mic to you.
Thanks. A question about simplicity. So you mentioned that for the homepage. Would that you recommend that throughout the website, or having, let's say, content that you feel is important, you just advise like hiding that through different parts of your menu?
Oh, I love that. It depends on how big your website is. Like, first and foremost, if you have a really massive website, so you have multiple informational pages, like multiple category pages, location pages, you're an operator that has, 20 tours, there is some factors that go into play with those. But the homepage, yes, you should keep your homepage nice and concise, enough information to start, getting that user confidence, give them just enough. But in terms of other pages, it's it's a marriage between simplicity and enough information. Users are on your website to understand your company, what you're offering, all the tour details, its information, its FAQs if you have them. So it really is a case-by-case basis on what makes the most sense for each page. So for example, our category pages that we typically create, so say you have bike rentals, and then you also have like guided bike tours, for example. 2 different category pages, that's normally a little bit more bare, where it's like the main tours or rentals under each category, maybe some quick like about us kind of information, so the user starts understanding why they're on their category page and like what they're looking at. But in terms of like those pages having a lot of content, like we normally veer against it, because users are really at that point looking to make the next decision in their process and not looking to read a ton of content. But then when they get to obviously the individual tour activity pages, that's where you can get a little bit longer. You can have those photo galleries or that video embed. You can have, your itinerary, your tour information, cancellation policy, because that really is the main place a user is saying like, okay, I've gotten here, what information do I need to know before giving you my money? So that's where it's a fine balance on which pages get more information and which you can kind of pull back a little bit.
100%. I would almost echo, if you check out, some truly high converting sites like Apple.com, Amazon.com, it follows a similar flow. Homepage is typically very simple. And as you start to categorize what product you're interested in, it'll get a bit more complicated. To visiting that product page, you could have a white paper breakdown of the product, right? So in general, starting simple, getting more complex down the phone. Yeah.
Amazing. And I think we can do about 1, maybe 2 more if you guys are patient with me before coffee. Do we have any more questions? These have been great.
No one else?
Ooh, we got one up here.
Oh, we got one.
And then I'll get you to your coffee.
Hey guys, Matt from Destin, Florida. Ladies. This is a strange question. You guys are deep into this, but let's go back to, you get a phone call from your crazy uncle. And he says, what do I have to do to optimize my page?
That's happened to me.
And you want to get off the phone. All right, how about each one of you give me just one basic trick, say, crazy uncle, do this.
Yeah, I'll go first.
I love that.
Crazy uncle, make sure that you have a big bright book now button as close to the top as you can without covering all the links at the top.
Yeah. Mine would be crazy uncle, make sure you have all of your tour information in one place, so users can actually know what they're booking before they make the decision. All the information.
My uncle's not super crazy, but I did help him with his website. It was pretty chill. But I think, honestly, I think the advice that I gave him, I'll reckon it back to that, or bring it back to that slide on the who, the what, and the where. It is wild. It sounds so simple, right? You probably saw that slide, you're like, duh. But go check out a lot of websites and see how many of them miss that. It's a ton of them. In the title tags, in the H1s, very clearly describing who you are, what you are, and where you are, you're in good shape.
Amazing. Unless there's a burning question we have left. I'm looking, going, gone. Okay. Thank you guys so much. We cannot thank you enough for being here. Again, if you have questions, visit these guys at the booth. They'll be here all week. And if you want coffee, it is available on floor 2. We'll see you back, I believe, for some other sessions this afternoon. But check your schedule. And thank you again for being with us.
Thank you, guys.